So if you're lying down or in a more relaxed position, if you could just sit up to open this afternoon, just allow your spine to elongate and relax and your shoulders to relax. I'd like to just start with just a very simple breathing, not to force it or to make it happen, but just to wake up, just to sort of wake up the upper centers a bit. So don't be concerned if you're not able to find the coordination. We're always in the end trying to let go of being so precise or technical, but just really feeling how we're just settling into just a more relaxed place, a more receptive place. So never any way to get it wrong, never any way to get it right, just to focus on our experience. And I'm just going to use this breath to open, and then I have a short reading that I would like to share with you. And one thing, this breathing is coming from something I mentioned in a few classes back about how the energy and the breath from the right nostril tends to open and stimulate the left hemisphere of the brain. The energy and the presence of the air coming in from the left nostril tends to stimulate and open the area of the right brain. And this is, again, nothing specific or technical that we need to know, but just simply so we can creatively visualize, yeah? So we can just bring instead of the mind trying to hold on to a technique or getting it right, we can just let the mind be creative and just visualize what this might be about. So the way that we're going to begin just by taking the right finger, and we're going to place it and close the right nostril, yeah? And I sort of relax my thumb on the bottom of my chin just for stability. Now, if you find that the left nostril is clogged to the point where you can't breathe, then don't worry about holding the nostril closed. You can just put it up onto the bridge there and rest it there. And then maybe if it opens, you could close it halfway. So again, just to have this be relatively intuitive. So let's do that. Let's just take the index finger of the right hand and place it onto the right nostril. Just again, relax your shoulders, let your spine feel light and elongated. And then let's begin to take a nice inhale in through the left nostril. Just inhale deeply. Keep inhaling, keep inhaling, keep inhaling, keep inhaling. And relax it out. Exhale, exhale. Just a long, relaxed exhalation. And again, inhale through the left nostril. And just visualizing that this is opening space in this right brain, which is just without boundary and creative. Keep inhaling, and exhale. Just let the air just drift out, just kind of pour out the exhalation. And again, inhaling. So inhaling into this creative, the feminine, the receptive part of the brain that has no boundary or agenda. And again, let's exhale and exhale and exhale and exhale and exhale. And one more, just inhale and just allow yourself to breathe into this right hemisphere of the brain that is your doorway into the infinite. And exhale and exhale and exhale and exhale. A little longer. This is the last one. So just keep exhaling through that left nostril. And then you can relax the right hand down. Yeah. So then we'll take the index finger of the left hand and close off that left nostril. And again, if too much or you're clogged or something at this right nostril, you can just bring it up a bit. You don't have to close it, and I'm again resting my thumb on the bottom of my chin just for some stability. So let's begin through the right nostril. Inhale, 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 and exhale, 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 exhale. Keep exhaling and inhale, inhale. So now we're going into the logical, linguistic, mathematical, linear part of the brain. Keep inhaling and exhale and exhale and exhale. And if you need to go on your own rhythm, feel free to do that. And again, another inhale, inhale. This is the hemisphere of the brain that holds boundaries, creativity in a logical, linear sense. Yes, very good to have this. Keep inhaling and exhale, 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 exhale. And again, inhale, inhale through that right nostril, coming into this part of the brain that is the masculine, being grounded, being present. Keep inhaling and exhale out through that right nostril. Keep exhaling. Really see if you can empty a bit here, right towards the end, especially a little bit more. You can even kind of push it out. And one more, inhale, inhale, inhale. This is into your knowledge, memories. Inhaling and exhale, exhale, exhale. Good. And then you can just relax that left arm down and then just come back to a normal breath. Just relax, soften. This reading is from a very wonderful Japanese writer. His name is Haruki Murakami. And once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain: when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. Another meditation of yoga. So let's just take a few moments to just appreciate the balancing of the breath, and just to know that we don't always need to use the fingers to block off one side to access another side. Sometimes it's lovely to just feel as we're breathing that we can direct some of the breath more to the right nostril, the left hemisphere, more towards the left nostril, the right hemisphere. And this is really a grounding for this yoga to just sit in balance. And each posture and asana that we do is really to help us go deeper into this sense of equilibrium and balance. Good. So if you could just get you a blanket or a towel to place in front of you, and possibly to the side, you might want to have a couple of your pillows if you're not having the bolsters yet, or one of your bolsters to the side. So if you need some support, and just to say, this first forward bend, we're going to extend it. We're going to hold it. We're going to change the position. We're going to come back into it. So really allow yourself just a slowness and a calmness and just really, it's a leaning into the contraction and the restriction of the body. We want to try to let go of this mentality that we're just putting ourselves in a shape and just kind of holding on till it's over, and having to deal with or suffer through the tension. The tension is really a way for us to gauge how much we're either relaxing or not. So if you go into the tension too deeply and things start to respond, the body comes into protection mode. Please back off a little bit. And if you're very new at this or haven't held these for a long time, always feel free to withdraw, to rest. And even if you've been doing it for a long time, there are times when, you know, the tension is such in my body that I've just gone too deeply, too quickly, and I need to come out and breathe and make some adjustments and continue to slow down. So the invitation is to continue to slow down. So what I would like to do, and if you've been sitting cross-legged, let's just open the legs out for a moment. So we start with the knees in a good way. And let's bring the left leg in then. And I'm just recommending the blanket or the towel here just to have some softness, because we're going to place the right foot in front of that left leg. Yeah, so the position is an open one. What this also means is that if you want to adjust it out more or in a little bit more, or angle this front leg, move this out, open means open to your interpretation of it. This is just a suggestive template how your hips and knees want to go. And the same thing for propping up under the legs if you need to, if the hips are asking for that. So let's just begin by just relaxing the upper body and allowing the tension in the neck and the shoulders to participate here a bit. And we can also think of this as sort of unstacking the spine, you know, feeling a little opening in the spinal vertebra as we come down. And then just nice and slow. And if you feel you've gone too deep too quickly or to some habitual position, you know, always feel free to make some readjustments. And then just relax. Use any bolstering to support torso weight. Try to find a good place to put the hands or the arms so they're not distracting you. And we just sort of settle in for this exploration and inquiry that, you know, what's so interesting about it is that it's, you know, it really is a non-conceptual inquiry, exploration, but we have to start with concepts and thoughts and language, but not to be concerned with that. This is not an informational class. This is a class for you to find that or relax into that non-conceptual place, and just soften and relax and breathe. And if you do feel, I know sometimes the body just, it just mechanically feels like it needs to stretch out and elongate the, you know, the back line. See if you can soften that as much as possible. So the lower back is rounded. The softening of the muscles helps to unengage them a bit. And then the compression has more access to and can seep into the more of the fascial restrictions. This is always a dance between muscular tension and fascial restriction. It's never one or the other, but we get to explore that intimacy. So this is why we want to relax, we want to unengage, we want to soften. And of course, initially, we do find that the mind is just, running on momentum, maybe from today or the week or who knows how long. The momentum of the mind is very powerful. So if you find that, allow the breath from the left nostril to sort of merge into the right hemisphere. And the visualization is just expansiveness. It's just not knowing, not having to know. It's without boundary. It's infinite and expansive. So we don't have to suppress the left hemisphere, the thinking, but we can cultivate a great sense of balance in our body, in our brain, with our breath. And also certainly the part of the this left brain quality is not just the random thoughts. It's also these very deep-seated habits and grooves that tell us there's something more important than this moment that we need to do, that there's something we can fix within ourselves, something isn't right, I could do it better. The litany. So this is where we want to find balance. That's not important. Those habits are not important. They may be there, but we can start to let that energy subside, and we can allow the energy to blossom that doesn't care about fixing or improving or getting it right, that is just happy to be in this incredible aliveness. How lovely, really, to give yourself just that little bit of time where you don't have to fix anything or improve anything, that it's just okay to breathe in and feel and breathe out and feel. This is a gift to your body. Good. So let's come on up from here, nice and easy. And then for the most part, this right leg forward is activating, at least in myself, something on the right side. This gets to relax a little bit more the left side. So I want to stay in this right side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open the legs out, both legs out, and we'll keep the left leg out and bring the right leg in. So it's on somewhere along the inside of that left leg. It doesn't have to be way up. It can be even at the calf or the knee. Yeah, and the left leg relaxed. So with this left leg extended, typically this kind of weaves back into the right side of the lumbar. You might feel that or it might not. It depends how open your pelvis is. And then the same thing, the same very gentle, relaxed, soft forward bend, just to, you're entering in the domain of your soma. Different terminology than separate body parts. Separate body parts would be your body image, your anatomical body. The soma is the unknown. The soma is the earthiness of just your aliveness, of just being in this presence of this pulsation. And so our three considerations really when we're in a yin posture is the shape of the body, which I'm just giving a suggestion for, how much compression is being applied, in this case by the upper body pulling into the back of the leg and the lower back, but also how much you're able to relax in relation to that received compression. So this is why it doesn't matter if you've been doing this practice for a long time or it's the first time, because it's unique to your body. Your skeleton is different than everyone else's skeleton. So we make the adjustments based on the uniqueness of our skeleton. The compression is based on how much tension your body is holding in the moment and how you really intelligently lean into it. And then your capacity to relax. This is the dance of the yoga in how you are not only feeling discomfort, but what is your personal relationship to discomfort, and how are you really allowing that discomfort to to teach you, really to be open to learning from it, because it has quite a bit to teach. I guess it turns out discomfort does have quite a bit to teach, not just in our bodies, but in our immediate relationships, and turns out collectively. So always the first step, our first initiation into exploring this, this guru of pain, if you will, is how not to immediately push it away, how not to judge it as something bad, but to feel safe enough to invite it a little closer and establish a respectful relationship with it. And so let us come on up from here. Nice interlude. And just allow the right leg to open for a moment. We're going to bend it back, but let's let that knee breathe. We're going to stay on the right side. And then let's again bend the left leg in towards you. So the left leg is just approximately parallel to the body. And then if you have one of the little bolsters here, this is what, if you're thinking of getting one called the salamander, but I just call it the little bolster. We're going to put that in front. Yeah. If you don't have one, a blanket works just as well. Just approximate that height. Yeah. So either way, the small bolster or something, just to elevate this. So we're going to just change the range of motion a little bit, and we'll place that right foot on top of it. Yeah. So this is good. If you wanted to come a little bit higher, you could do that, but no need really. It doesn't. This is a practice that's not based on symmetry or working the body in a linear way. It's just wherever we compress, the entire system is responding and reverberating, receiving. So it's a strange system that way, beautiful system that way. So again, let's just come forward. So now we have the right leg elevated just a little bit on a blanket or a small bolster. Particularly good to let the weight of the head relax. Even if you're feeling some tension in the neck, okay to explore that, okay to kind of lean into it. If it starts to pinch or feel unsafe, lean out of it. And it doesn't take very long for us to realize that the tension itself is not simply bound up in the body. So as conscious beings, as recognizing that consciousness is our fundamental reality, we have this miraculous gift to then be able to funnel that consciousness into awareness attention. So what we can observe, what we can really explore is that the tension is not just bound up in the physical body, the physicality. Tension can also be bound up in the mind. So we want to really sort of feel that out. We want to lean into that and be aware of this relationship. It's very, very interesting and can be very, very subtle. That oftentimes the way we're holding tension in the mind, the way something is bound up in the awareness, and how that relates to how we feel in the body, what's being translated into the body. And the same thing, when we're bound up in the body, how is that being communicated to the mind? And there is no formula, really. This is a very personal, nuanced study. And this is just really the basis of our self-inquiry is, what is your attention bound up in? Don't be so sure you know. This is what we're exploring. And also not to let the the mind, the left brain fool you into thinking that just a very humble leaning forward, even if it's just the chin coming down, that this is not an adequate forward bend. Yeah, first and foremost, we sit with humility and great respect with our body. We don't need to be concerned with an aesthetic or any kind of completion. There is no completion. It's just to feel the feedback from your body directly. So depth, aesthetic, how long you hold it, none of these is really relevant to just the unfolding of your moment to moment presence with how your body is giving you this very precious and very accurate feedback once we learn how to balance that and sit with it so we're not judging ourselves. Good. So let us come on up from here. Just let yourself roll up. And let's open the legs out. And let's just lie down flat with the knees straight, the arms relaxed, just so we can get a nice a sense of the chi distributing itself through the body. So we've gone from this compressive, bound, contracted, to now the chi just can find all these little pockets where it wants to be evenly distributed. And you can just keep your mouth closed and just breathe through your nose and just feel that. Feel the movement of the air through the right nostril, traveling and exploring. Feel the movement of the air through the left nostril and traveling and exploring. And it's such a lovely way to just feel, not only feel the presence of the skull, but to start to feel the balance in the brain itself will radiate into the balance of the body. I am not fractured. I am not fragmented. I am not dissipated. I am understanding. I am beauty. I am love. So I am not independent. I am interdependent. This is yoga. It's a simple recognition. I am not fractured. I am not fragmented. I am not dissipated. I am understanding. I am beauty. I am love. And the subtlety of this, of really this simple recognition of this is yoga. We are yoga. We don't do yoga. Is the simple, and it's so incredibly simple, but so nuanced, is we don't approach this as I need to understand, I need to cultivate beauty, I need to find love. The relaxation, the recognition, the receptivity, yes, this is to be receptive to I am understanding, I am beauty, I am love. So let's come on up, please. And we're going to come back for a while before we do the other side of that forward bend, if we get to it, you never know. And this is going to be with the height of the large bolster. Yeah, so this is the large one. And I'm going to also work with these pillows, because once you press them down, it's approximate height of this. So, you know, work with what you have also, but we'll work with the height a little bit, because another thing to be aware of is this may be significant, this may be significant, and you may want to elevate the hips in order to not have so much compression in the lower back. Much better always to set your position up so you can stay for an extended time, so the compression can really weave through the fascial network, then go too deep and feel like, oh, this isn't, I'm going to struggle and I can do it. And no, we want to be able to stay for a while. So if you were in this and your computer went out, you would just forget about it and stay here till well past dinner time. So a few things. Maybe I'll use this blanket, this towel. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit in front of the bolster. And I sit in front of the bolster like this. And so I'm demonstrating it with sitting on this, but you don't have to. You could sit just on the floor. It's going to be more intense because we have more height, yeah? But I'll just show it with this, yeah. And then do please keep the feet on the floor until you feel like the upper body is pretty safe and stable. So if you need to, if you're able to just let the head dangle, A-okay. If you need to bring something under it to support, that's when we let the legs out. When you feel like, this is good. If you get here and you feel not a lot is happening, you can just pull the blanket out. Yeah, here's your backward bend. Buttocks must be on the floor. If you get here and you feel, nope, he's right, I need something, then bring that towel or blanket in. And then the arms will relax to the side. Yeah. Same thing with the pillows. So the pillows, depending on your pillows, these pillows are, one's a little firmer than the other, but the same thing. I'm going to sit on the floor. depending on the pillows, you can tuck them in a little bit. This is going to mimic the bolster. And then same thing, keep the feet stable on the floor till the upper body comes back. Yeah, so pretty much it's, a little different, just not as convenient. Legs out. If you need something under the head, oh yes, to support the cervical spine. And this you can always play with as well, in addition to putting something under or not with the buttocks. Oftentimes, once I feel safe in this upper spine, sometimes I'll just remove the bolstering and just let everything open up there, uh, to whatever my capacity is, and then I may need to bring it back. So, like I said earlier, the shape is unique to you. This is just a suggestion. The compression is unique to you. How much we can, I don't even want to say tolerate, but how much we can relax into. What is your attention bound up in? And please feel this to the depths of your cells. Like I said earlier, I'm using concepts to point to what's non-conceptual. So anything that you hear and you take in visually or conceptually, just let that soften and let the vibration of your body receive it, and it'll take you right to where you need to be. The self inquiry of this practice is self in the largest context you can imagine. And I mean large in the sense of the billions of cells that are vibrating and communicating and alive and dying and reproducing. It's just such a beautiful inner cosmos that we have. So don't get stuck with the language or the concept, but just allow it to wash through you. And then see, you have this lovely, beautiful gift of attention, awareness. How is it weaving into your experience? And no need to, restrict our focus of breathing just to the brain itself, because on some level it might not seem like it, but the brain is a simple, humble organ, just like the rest of the organs. They work together. So we can breathe into the heart. We can breathe deep into the belly, and really give this mysterious digestive area just a little bit of attention. It's amazing how just a little bit of breath and a little bit of pressure into the belly can bring us into the soft tissue that's holding this contraction and this tightness in a way that really we can't put words to. So let the movement and the movement of the breath and the attention into the body, let those mingle together so they're not separate. So um, you have as much territory as you would like to be expansive and to breathe into and to explore. So if you feel like you've settled into a good place with this backward bend, and you just want to stay with it, feel free to. If not, I'm going to offer a little bit of a twist. Um, this can be, rather deep because we're elevated over the bolster, but it also has a nice way of sort of opening up that lumbar tension. So it's up to you. Just be careful with it. And if you need to add the extra blanket under the hips, that would be your choice. So from lying down, we'll just bend the knees, put the feet flat on the floor, and then we're going to let both knees go over to the right. And certainly you'll feel what I'm talking about intensity. The thing that is always good to do is be a little intuitive with the feet. So typically I'll take that left foot, the knees are going to the right, take that left foot and I work it out to open my hip a little bit on that left hip. Usually the right knee just drops down. So work with the angles of your hips and your knees and your legs, and then we'll just stay here for a time if you choose to. And these are the hips. I don't need to tell you they're the hips, but do feel free if you're, not going to scare your partners or your pets. But moaning and groaning can be a lovely expression of this, of just this soma. So you don't, if something wants to express, sometimes it can be intuitive movement, but certainly it can be a sound from the hips, from the throat. It can trigger. It can trigger grief. It can trigger loneliness. The fabric of the body, what's woven into the fabric of the body is everything. All our sorrows, all our joys, our mental memories, our biological memories. So we're never simply working physiologically. We're always working physiologically, psychologically, and emotionally. And so if we just relax and let that be, we can feel that. And this really, when I refer to the soma, this is when we're just letting the body feel itself. The body has a great capacity to feel itself when we don't interfere with our theories and our techniques, just to feel it. Good. So if you do have your knees over to the right, let's bring them up. And your choice, if you'd like to go directly over to the left, feel free to do that. Oftentimes it's nice just to straighten them out, let the distribution of the chi happen. It's nice to just sort of let it expand a bit and release and unwind. And then when you feel ready, you can then put the feet on the floor, and we'll take both legs over to the left side. If you have the knees over to the left, let's bring them back up to a neutral spine, and you can relax them back out. So I just invite you to come out of this very slowly, and a couple of ways to do that. You can put the feet back on the floor, and you can just have any kind of intuitive movement to really start to check in with and connect with any muscular tension. This is such an interesting, complicated area. And then you can begin to just roll off of the bolster or the pillows that you have. Or if you prefer, you can elevate the hips a bit and bring them back up onto the bolster or the pillows. So the buttocks is no longer on the floor. The support that you've been using is in the back of the pelvic area, the sacral area. So this will immediately relieve and release the lumbar. Maybe I'll show it a little bit here. So from here, you can just roll off to the side and just keep rolling. Or sometimes it's nice to just bring the hips up. So I'm moving my body back towards my head, placing the pelvis. Yeah, and then we just can take your time here. Sometimes it's nice to bring the knees up, sway the knees back and forth. Just work your way out of it. This is a time where you can sort of intuit that relationship I was talking about between the fascial restriction and the muscular tightness. This is always apparent. And then just relax out of it and eventually find your way to lying on the floor. We'll take another interlude before we do the other side of that forward bending. And I think it's important to mention when we're exploring the body in this way and at this level. When I use the term fascia, it's just a ubiquitous term. The fascia is everywhere in your body, but typically, we think of or we experience, sort of the ligaments in the knee that tighten. We can image it as sort of this layered weave that's, surrounding the heart, or these tendrils, these fibers of the body. But the bones are also primarily made of fascia, and the bones can hold just as much tension as soft tissue. And because of postural habits and misalignments of movement, the bones can start to remodel and realign and hold a great deal of fatigue. So oftentimes when we're feeling this deeper weariness, we can actually feel it in the bones themselves. This is the sort of the depth of this, somatic meditation, is that we're trying to draw inward. We're trying to go into the way the body is holding this fatigue and holding this weariness. So it's not as simplistic as you're just simply, bending into something and releasing and just hoping it just releases tension. It's very, very layered. So sometimes just to rest and relax and just to feel that maybe we've been eating properly and resting enough, but through the experience of life itself and the way that we move and hold ourselves and our posture and our emotional states, the bones are holding a very deep weariness. And so this is why we really commit in this approach to going slowly, to going mindfully, to going with a great consciousness. So this is what I was saying earlier. Feel as deeply as you can into the cells, into the bones, the joints. Okay, so let's come on up, please, if you will. Yeah. And again, we would like to have a towel or a blanket out in front. This time we're going to take the right leg and bring it in towards your body, so it's about parallel to the body, doesn't need to be exact. we'll take that left leg foot and put it on the blanket just to soften the ankle joint and ankle bone here. And once again, coming forward and using pillows or bolster or pillows and bolster, and just softening into the knees, the lower back, not to be in a rush. Find a nice, interesting place where you can rest and just allow allow the bones a little of this attention that you have so much of. And just a little bit more about what I was saying with the bones, that, part of the terminology when we're, exploring the body from this fascial perspective, from this connective tissue, is bone plasticity. Typically our image of the bones is that they're just hardened. They're just structural framework with no leeway, but it's simply not the case. So sometimes it's infinitesimal, it's very slow, but everything is changing and moving, and it has a certain fluidity to it. So this is why we're much more interested in the felt sense, the way that the soma is, first of all, trying to get your attention, and then how it intuitively, beyond the capacity of language, draws you into these areas to explore something that is primarily intuitive. And I think it's very, 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 very important right now to stay intuitively connected to yourself, especially when we may be feeling some of the effects of how noisy things can be, and how much information is just being flooded into our environment. To stay as close as you can to your intuitive intelligence, and listen with so much openness and love, so your body, mind, heart can guide you to exactly what you need to not only stay healthy, but to take in, to be open to the lessons of change and transformation, and the gift of this change, the gift of transformation. Because that, as far as I can tell, the basic nature of our reality is change. And how do we benefit from that change and not inhibit it? Good. So let us emerge here. Just roll up. This is like we're coming up, stacking the vertebra now after we've opened them a bit. And let's open the legs out. So we'll continue on that left side, more or less, this time by keeping the right leg extended and bringing the left leg in. So anywhere, again, is fine along the inner part of the right leg. If you need some support under this left leg, whatever works for you, knee, under the hip. And then coming forward, coming forward is the entry into these positions is, part of the dance. Feeling the threads of contraction, of density, not ignoring them, settling in a place that's appropriate so you can really relax into it. And you can always use your breathing to, lean into an area that feels restricted, but do so slowly and gently. Don't make it into a project. Don't use the breath to push through something. Use the breath to approach something. Use the breath to hold something even and ease into it. So breathing slowly and breathing gently and really feeling how delicate the breath can be, but also how it can take you into places that there is no other way to have access to. We can't think our way there. Sometimes we can't even feel our way there until the breath weaves in, and then it has a way of softening and informing that's just quite subtle. And this is a gift, this is a gift that we cultivate and we try to give to this, body mind organism, is a gift of subtlety, how to move into a place so we can feel it, because oftentimes we're just running around and we're reinforcing these misalignments of the bones. So the subtlety and the gentleness and the way that we feel this nuanced experience, this somatic meditation, this somatic intelligence, this is a gift that we give ourselves. Okay, so let's come up from here as well. And once you're up, let's go ahead and open both legs out. And so we're going to go into the final part of this, which, if you remember, I suggested we'll bring the right leg in is to elevate this left leg. So I don't know if I showed it on the small bolster, but if you have the small bolster, first and foremost, use the small bolster. Yep. So that's if you have one. If you don't, anything will do. I think I showed it with my blanket the last time, but I'll show it with a pillow this time. It works just as well. Yeah. We just want to get a little bit of the right femur out of, excuse me, the left femur out of that left hip, just the angle. And then the same thing, we'll come back into the same forward bending. Can you pay attention to the present moment closely enough so you don't have to do anything to it? And in a way, I'm overlaying this, I'm superimposing this on the mind, on the heart, on the body, on the psyche. Can we pay attention to the present moment and whatever's arising, mind, heart, psyche, body? Can we pay attention to the present moment closely enough to not have to do anything to it? Because as we find out, when we finally do begin to settle down and appreciate this, this vast, spacious, mysterious present moment, what we see is when we are disturbing it continually, it is rather exhausting. So we're resting into this mystery of the present moment without having to do anything to it, not to disturb it, not to change it. Lovely. Let's come on up. Just roll up, restack the spine, relax up. Let's open the legs out and let's relax back in. We'll take another rest. Good. So let's come on up, please. And I want to be a little bit more specific in our backward bend. So I'm going to ultimately show this with the large bolster. So if you have the large bolster, just put it aside and be patient. If you don't have the large bolster, I'm going to show a few variations to do this without it. So one would be to take a blanket, and I have a pretty thick blanket here. So again, depending on how your blanket is, and I'm folding it up in sort of the shape of sort of a block. And as you see, it mimics pretty much the height of this bolster. So that's what we're after. We're just after the height, and then we're going to place it very specifically. It would also work if you don't have a blanket. It would work with pillows. You could take a pillow and a towel. So you could put a pillow and a towel together. And then this is a little, well, the height is deceptive because this would be a little bit softer. Maybe I'd go with a little smaller towel. So pretty much have to just kind of improvise and make do. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, that would work. So, so I'm going to show it with this one, and then I'll show it with the large bolster. But the idea is to just direct the compression into the upper mid back. So before we had the whole back line opened and we stayed there, we did the twist. Now is going to be to open the rib cage, the sternum, the respiratory diaphragm. So very simple, whatever you're using is to come forward. Do not put it in the lower back. Yeah, we've been there, done that. Put it up higher. So when you're coming over it, up here is my scapula, my shoulder blades, yeah, where these stripes are. So it come here, way up, not in the lower back, you can see, but the shoulders are not on it as well. The shoulders are going to drape over it, yeah. Then once you feel good, something under the head if you need or like, then we'll relax over it. Yeah, so this is good. Exactly what we want to accomplish with the big bolster. So you do that if you don't have the bolster. If you do have the large bolster, then put it long ways. So this would be from the spine up to the neck. This would be vertical, not horizontal. And then we'll sit on one end of it. Yeah, so sit on the far end of it, whichever the far end would be. I'm not so sure, but find one end of it. And then again, keep the feet on the floor till you find that same spot. So I'm up into my shoulder blades, yeah? And then let the body come down. So certainly the back of the head is on the floor. Shoulders don't necessarily need to be, but you could scoot up a little bit and get them there if you would like. Sometimes the body just naturally opens and the shoulders wind up there, or you wind up kind of scooting there halfway through. So as long as you're not in the lumbar, you may feel a pull and a little stretching from the lumbar, because who knew that the whole spine was connected, but just kind of settle into that mid-back section. You could get the shoulders down or not. Back of the head, yes. Separate the legs out a little wider than the hips so it feels nice and stable. Relax your arms, and away we go. And really, again, I cannot emphasize the patience that we want to cultivate in this practice. To just gently move in, let the body settle, let the body open a bit. You know, find that place of equilibrium where it's like, I can just stay here. I'm not struggling. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm not interested in improving. I'm interested in this moment, the visceral experience of this moment. And like I said earlier, how to examine this moment, this present moment, without having to do anything to it. And you can observe this inquiry, because if we breathe into the left hemisphere, it will rebel against this idea of just allowing the present moment to be as it is, because it's got to do something. This is what it's set up for. It needs to keep count. It needs to set up a system. It wants a technique. Present moment is just a tool for it. But breathe into the right brain, and the right brain is like, thank you. The present moment is where I flourish. The present moment is where I rest. The present moment is expansive and ever present. So don't struggle. Allow yourself to rest in this lovely internal intuitive balance. And this is challenging. It's not only challenging to the mind, certainly it's challenging to the body, and to just be able to rest and feel all the complexities, to the need to get involved with those complexities, to micromanage, to have a plan. This is very challenging. We want to be patient and gentle with that. This is the receptivity uh, and the gentleness of the yin quality, to just be able to feel it. Doesn't matter if it's comfortable or uncomfortable, and be able to just rest and not have to do anything but feel. And this is certainly why we have yang practices. So we then can activate that part of us that needs and wants to do something. And then we have our yin practices where we just sink in. No need to micromanage, no need to even presume we know what's best, but to trust that this intelligence of the body is slowly awakening. And this becomes our teacher, and this becomes our guide for that level of balance. And this particular shape of the body, typically we want to draw our attention to our breathing, certainly because of the rib cage and the respiratory diaphragm and just the opening and the compression in the mid-thoracic spine. But we could also bring our attention to the way that the body is very fluid, the fluids in the body. It's really amazing how little attention we give to that, and try to just feel that, especially when we're working with density and discomfort, because it feels so incredibly solid. But the movement of fluids through our body actually enhance the movement of information in the body and in the thoughts and in the emotions. And this certainly weaves in on a very fundamental level to the health of the fascia, because there's so much fluid that moves along these pathways and the compression of the cells. So feeling that, just feeling, certainly as we're breathing and we're feeling the presence of the breath, but at a more visceral level, the movement of the fluid through the body, the movement of information through the body. So when we feel this density, this discomfort, we soften into that. We imagine that we're making room, we're making openings, we're carving out pathways for the fluids of the body, hence the movement of information through the body to also expand. It's very much like we're living in an ocean, because really we are. So you can begin to start here, depending on what configuration you have. You stabilize the spine by placing the feet on the floor, have a little bit of movement. If you have the long bolster, you can start to bring the knees back and up a bit if that tends to work for you, or if you just have that the folded blanket, you may not want to try this and just roll off of it. But let's come off of this and come into a position of rest. And let me just say that again, it's just such a beautiful contemplation that the fluids of our body enhance the energetic movement of information in our thoughts and our mind and our heart and our body. So I guess I could, change that up a bit. What I said earlier, that we are not fractured, we are not fragmented, we are not dissipated, we are fluid, we are spacious, we are intelligence. So let's just stay lying on your back for a few more moments. And I'd like to go back to the breathing that we opened with. This time, though, I'm not going to talk about the creative visualization. I'm just going to leave that up to you. I'll just mention that when I sort of metaphorically associate the left hemisphere with the masculine and the right hemisphere with the feminine, this is just a very general way to you bring imagery. Yeah, so and within each of us, whether male or female, we understand that we have this this dynamic of qualities, of masculine qualities, movement towards completion and just wanting that completion, feminine qualities that are much more compatible with growth and blossoming and open-endedness, not good or bad. So what I'd like to do is, lying down, I'd like to go back to this breath and just on your own, use that sort of, just use that imagery of the left hemisphere, the qualities of the masculine, the right hemisphere, the qualities of the feminine. And I think sometimes where we get confused with this is we think, they're in conflict with each other because we associate masculine energies with a man and feminine energies with the female, and often the male and the female are in conflict. But I'm really speaking more to just energies, how we feel these energies, because the masculine and the feminine support and hold each other. The completion of the masculine and feminine, this is the samadhi, this is the awakening. So that's the invitation if you're open to exploring it. So let's this time begin by, we'll take the index finger and just hold that left nostril. Yeah, so we're going to start this time with the left hemisphere, the masculine. But I'm just going to guide the breath a bit and not provide any imagery. And again, if it's not working, if you're a little clogged, allergies or something, just bring the finger up and just sort of play with it. So we'll close off that left nostril with that single index finger and inhale and inhale and inhale into that masculine side of your brain. Inhale and exhale and exhale and exhale. And at the end, a little bit more exhale, let it all out. And again, inhale and inhale, and just gently pull the air in. Let it circulate, let it weave, let it weave, let it weave. And exhale, exhale. We still have the finger on the left nostril. Exhale and exhale. And one more time, inhale, 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 and exhale. Just really let it go. Exhale, right at the end, a little bit more. Press it out. And then just relax that left arm down. Just take a few balancing breaths through both nostrils. The mouth is closed if you can. And we'll take that right index finger and put it on the side of the right nostril. I like to sometimes use the thumb to stabilize on the chin if you like. And then we'll inhale through the left nostril, going up into that right feminine area of the hemisphere. So inhale, 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 and exhale out through that left nostril. Keep exhaling, 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 and inhale, and inhale, inhale, and inhale, inhale, and exhale. Just a long, long letting go, just a little bit longer. When you come to the end, just a little bit more, we just press it out. And one more, inhale, 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 and exhale. Just let the breath flow, let the lungs empty. Right at the end, a little bit more. And then let's relax that right arm down. Keep the mouth closed if you can. Just breathe through both nostrils and just let that, whatever that imagery was, just let it intermingle. Like I said earlier, we're not independent, we're interdependent. And part of our, our energetic health is that interdependence of the lovely grounding energy of the masculine and the lovely blossoming beautiful energy of the feminine. And may we be able to open to this balance and sit with it with great joy and equanimity. Good. So let's come on up, please. And I just would like to give you an option for this next thing, just in case. I don't know where your lower back is at because it's your lower back. So what I'm proposing, I'll show you what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that we come into this butterfly position, come into a forward bend. Yes. Come out of that, open the legs into a forward fold, come into that for some time. Come on up, open the legs again into a straddle, come into that, and then finish up where we started with the soles of the feet together in this forward bend. Yep. So we've done sort of a mixture of different backward bends and forward bends. If you're feeling like you want to continue that mixture and mix it up a little bit more, what I would suggest then is, if you would like, is to take the large bolster long ways out, or take a combination of, this would work. Yeah, something like this, anything that is feeling supportive. And instead of doing forward bend, forward bend, forward bend, forward bend, do forward bend. And then if you would like, come out, and instead of doing the second forward bend with us, come into this backward bend. Oh yeah, this is lovely. So backward bend into the low back. We'll hover here for a bit. And then when we go into the third one, you come into the forward bend with us, and then come back. And instead of doing the fourth forward bend, come into the backward bend. Yeah. So I'll kind of talk about, I'll give you the options as we go along in case that thoroughly confused you. But it would not be a function of the technology if I thoroughly confuse you, because in person-to-person class, I do it all the time as well. So I seem to have this gift for taking very simple things and making them really complicated. So thank you for that gift, wherever the gifts come from. So let's begin by bringing the soles of the feet together. Yeah. And so we'll all start here, and then your choice whether to continue forward bending or come into a backward bend. Soles of the feet together. Again, you can always have some support under the thighs or the knees if you'd like. You can have some support forward if you would like to rest the body weight. Most important, though, to coming into our yin forward bends is to relax as much as possible. Just relax. Just let the lower back soften. Don't worry about how deep it comes. Feel as deeply as you can into these strands of tugging and pulling and tightness and density and contraction. It doesn't even matter what we call it. You know it when you're there. And then just try to relax and breathe and soften, and not only to feel your body, but to try to celebrate that you have a body and that you are alive in it and you're exploring it heartbeat by heartbeat. Good. So we'll come up from here. So this is where you have the choice then. So the choice then is to open the legs out and just about hip width distance or maybe a little wider. And we'll come forward. Yeah, so that forward bend I showed earlier. Or if the lumbar is like, no, I would rather go back, that's a great idea, then something, big bolster or your blanket towel combination, and come into the backward bend. So we're not staying here a super long time. It's just to kind of move through these various strands. And so either that, or if you like the idea of the moving it into the forward bend, just this forward fold. And I think it is very interesting to start to reframe our, just some of our more basic experiences of being alive. I think especially in this transition, because what I'm starting to sense that this is a transition basically of information. So if we really start to intuit that at the most refined level, at the deepest level of our being, that we're just information. And this is what I was saying, that the fluids, the movement of fluids enhances the movement of information. So just taking that premise, that as we go deeper into the fabric of our being, it's information. Our cells are information, pulsating information that pulsate information into our organs into the larger structures. So what we can begin to explore is that possibly in our own evolution and in our collective evolution, that we have enough information, that we have enough knowledge and information, and that this transformation is one of wisdom. And this is for each of us to cultivate, each of us to take all of the information that we have at our fingertips and begin to allow that to transform into genuine wisdom. So the information then of the left hemisphere, and maybe for some of us, it's even overloaded, and how to allow that hemisphere to filter, to soften, to be open to learning and shifting, and then blossom into wisdom. And to have the capability to know the difference. It's just something I've been working on in my own practice. So if you're in the forward bend, come on up. If you're in the backward bend, come on up. And just roll off to the side and come up. And then we're going to, if you're still forward bending, oh no, let's all forward bend now. So even if you're in the backward bend, so we'll come to a wider opening here. Don't need to force it to stretch out the flexors, the hip flexors, let them be a little bit relaxed. And then you can just come to the hands if you'd like here. Sometimes it's nice if you can relax the shoulders to kind of modulate the weight. You could come to the forearms. If the hamstrings are still a little timid about going that deep, bolster up as much as you need to. Again, just come into where you feel this resistance. And I'm finding this to be, quite a beautiful contemplation, because it does take its, its roots from, some of the deepest teachings of yoga, that when we start to realize, and we're realizing this not just in our spiritual practices, but quantum physics as well, when they get down to the nothingness, they realize that this nothingness is incredibly intelligent. It's information. And so the scriptures have always told us that the wisdom is within, the teacher is within. So how to then cultivate this balance between all of this knowledge, all of this conceptual information, the information that we've collected, the cultural information, and then balance that with the wisdom of the feminine, and allow the wisdom within to be our guide. Allow that balance between the knowledge and the wisdom to be our guide. Good. So let's come up from here. And then again, a choice. So if you'd like, we go back to where we were with the soles of the feet together, coming forward. If you're going in and out with the backward bend, the same backward bend, either the bolster long or the blanket, pillow, towel combination that you're using. So we'll either come into backward bend again, or complete this forward bending right back where we started, with the soles of the feet together, a nice relaxed back, and we'll just soften in. This is from a collection by Stephen Harrison. But we are in conflict. Stay with that fact. That conflict is vibrating. It is shaking our world. Let our world shake. Let it tumble down. Whatever is left standing is life itself. Life is not in conflict. I'm going to read that again. We are in conflict. Stay with that fact. That conflict is vibrating. It is shaking our world. Let our world shake. Let it tumble down. Whatever is left standing is life itself. Life is not in conflict. So whatever position you're in, let's safely and slowly begin to come out of it. And just make yourself as comfortable as you can be. We'll take a few moments here just to rest and again to allow the distribution of the chi throughout the body so we can feel that. And as you begin to soften into your relaxation, just bring your awareness to the pulsation of the heart itself, just the gentle beating of the heart, and let it synchronize with or entrain with any areas as much of your body as you can. Let the pulsation of the heart synchronize with the left and the right areas of the brain. Let the pulsation of the heart synchronize with the pulsations of all your cells and your organs. And anything else you care to imagine, let the pulsation of your heart pulse with the wind and the water and the moon and the stars, if you like. And you can choose to stay resting if you would like, or if you would prefer to sit up with me, we will take a few moments and sit quietly and close our meditation. Namaste.